My beloved child, listen carefully. What I am about to reveal has never been spoken like this before, and time itself is leaning in to hear it. This is not a random message. This is not coincidence. This is a divine interruption. Just moments ago, Archangel Michael stepped out of the heavens bank, and all of heaven fell silent in shock. Records were opened, ledgers were reviewed, and then your name was spoken aloud. Yes, your name. A multi-million blessing check has already been written in your name, authorized by heaven itself. But hear this clearly, it must be opened, or it will expire. Beloved, you have no idea how close you are to a complete reversal. What looked delayed was actually being audited. What felt denied was being prepared in secrecy. Heaven was not ignoring you, it was protecting you. The reason this message feels urgent is because the window has opened. There are moments in destiny that do not wait forever. This is one of them. Archangel Michael is standing as a witness right now, not as a warrior, but as a guardian of divine transactions. You were approved long before you were informed. The blessing was processed while you were still questioning, and now the notification has reached you. This is your alert. Ignore it, and the cycle repeats. Open it, and your life will never return to its former limits. Hear this truth. The Heavens Bank does not operate on human timing, but it does respond to human obedience. The check is not just about money. It is about access. Access to favor, access to resources, access to doors that have been sealed for generations. The shock in heaven was not because of the amount, but because of the timing. You are receiving what others receive later, now. There has been a conversation about you in the spiritual realm. Your perseverance was reviewed. Your silent prayers were replayed. Your tears were counted one by one. And the verdict was clear: release it. That is why this feels sudden. That is why this feels intense. Sudden blessings always follow silent endurance. Beloved child, I need you to understand something critical. This blessing is not transferable. It cannot be claimed by someone else. But it can be forfeited through hesitation. Doubt is the only thing that can void it. Fear is the only signature missing. Heaven has already signed. The question is, will you? Archangel Michael was shocked not because heaven lacked resources, but because you underestimated what was reserved for you. You thought small because you were taught survival. Heaven thinks generational because you were designed for legacy. This check carries restoration for what was stolen, multiplied by what was delayed. Right now, there is a spiritual envelope in your hands, and the enemy knows it. That is why distractions are louder than ever. That is why fatigue has increased. That is why voices around you suddenly doubt what you are stepping into. This is the resistance that always appears before release. Listen closely. This is not the time to retreat into logic. This is the time to step forward in faith. The blessing is already written. But unopened blessings do not transform lives. Action activates allocation. You may be wondering, why me? And heaven answers, because you did not quit when it would have been justified. You stayed when it hurt. You believed when nothing changed. You showed up when nobody clapped. That is why your name was called. Archangel Michael is not standing in fear. He is standing in urgency. Heaven does not rush, but it does move decisively. The opportunity before you is not eternal. It is appointed. Delay too long, and it passes to the next season. Receive now, and it accelerates everything that was stuck. Beloved, this message found you because you are ready. Not perfect. Ready. ready to receive, ready to open, ready to step into what has already been prepared. You not scroll past this moment internally. Something is unlocking as you listen. The check is real. The blessing is authorized. And heaven is waiting for your response. Stay alert, because what comes next will explain how to open what has already been written. Chosen one, lean in with your spirit, because what you are about to understand now is the difference between those who hear about blessings and those who actually hold them. Many people receive divine notifications, but only a few know how to respond correctly. Heaven has already issued the check, but there is a protocol to opening it, and this protocol is spiritual, not physical. This is why Archangel Michael has remained near you since the moment you received this message. He is not here to frighten you. He is here to guide you through the activation. You see, the Heavens Bank does not release resources randomly. It releases them when alignment is detected. Alignment of heart, alignment of intention, alignment of obedience. Right now, heaven is watching not what you say but what you choose. The opening of this check begins with recognition. Recognition that this blessing is not luck. It is not coincidence. It is not overdue payment from life. It is a divine response to consistency when nobody was watching. Beloved, there were nights you went to sleep tired of believing. Mornings you woke up already exhausted. Yet you still moved forward. Heaven calls that faith in action. And faith in action always triggers heaven's systems. That is why this moment feels weighty. That is why your spirit feels stirred. You are standing at the threshold where obedience turns into overflow. Archangel Michael is now acting as a witness to your response. He has seen people receive the notice and then talk themselves out of it. He has seen fear delay what faith could have accelerated. This is why he urges clarity. This is not the season to minimize what God is doing. This is the season to agree with it. The opening of this blessing begins with agreement. Agreement that you are worthy, not because of perfection, but because of assignment. Heaven does not invest where there is no future. The size of this check reflects the scope of what you are called to impact. This is not about personal comfort alone. This is about provision meeting purpose. Right now, heaven is asking you a silent question. Will you steward what you prayed for? Because stewardship always precedes supply. The check is large because the responsibility is large. And you are ready, even if you don't feel like it yet. Readiness in heaven is measured by obedience, not confidence. Here is something else you must understand. This blessing cannot be opened in isolation. Gratitude is the seal that breaks the envelope. Gratitude tells heaven, I recognize the source. That is why thanksgiving shifts atmospheres instantly. When you acknowledge God openly, heaven responds openly. This is also why it matters what you do with this message. When you engage, when you respond, you are not boosting a video, you are declaring agreement. You are telling heaven, I receive this instruction. So if this word is resonating with your spirit, this is the moment to interact. Like this message as an act of alignment. Share it as a declaration that you are no longer hiding your faith. Comment with expectation, because spoken faith activates unseen movement. And yes, subscribe to this channel, not as a routine action, but as a covenant decision to stay connected to the flow of what God is releasing here. Join the community that understands prophetic timing. This is not content. This is calling. When you support and engage, you are positioning yourself under the sound of instruction that protects what you receive. Beloved, do not underestimate the power of collective agreement. When others witness your obedience, it strengthens your resolve. Heaven honors public alignment, That is why testimony multiplies blessings. Your response today is not small. It is recorded. Archangel Michael is still present, ensuring that interference does not interrupt the process. But he cannot override your will. The final step always belongs to you. Will you open your heart fully, or will you analyze yourself out of miracle? This is not hype. This is not exaggeration. This is timing. And timing is everything in the spirit. Miss it, and you wait another cycle. Receive it, and momentum begins immediately. Hold on, because what is coming next will reveal the unseen resistance that tried and failed to stop this release. Precious one, what I am about to uncover now explains why this blessing faced resistance before it ever reached your awareness. Every major release from heaven is preceded by scrutiny, not because heaven doubts you, but because opposition fears what you will do once you receive it. This is where Archangel Michael's role becomes unmistakably clear. He was not merely present at the heavens bank, he was assigned to stand guard over what was authorized for you. There was a moment, not long ago, when forces attempted to delay this transaction. They questioned your consistency. They pointed at your moments of weakness. They tried to reopen cases that heaven had already closed. But something powerful happened. Your name was defended. Not by argument, but by evidence. Heaven presented the record of your endurance. The prayers you whispered when nobody heard. The obedience you walked in when it cost you comfort. The integrity you kept when shortcuts were available. This is why the heavens went silent. Silence in heaven means judgment is being finalized. And when the silence lifted, Archangel Michael was given clearance. Clearance to escort your blessing past interference. Clearance to ensure that what was written will not be intercepted. This is not symbolic. This is spiritual law. Beloved, you must understand that delay does not mean denial. Often, delay is proof that something valuable is being protected. Cheap things move fast. Precious things move securely. What you are receiving carries weight, and weight requires guardianship. This also explains why your season has felt unusually heavy. You were carrying expectation before you had explanation. But now explanation has arrived. The pressure was never meant to crush you. It was meant to prepare you. Preparation always feels uncomfortable before it feels rewarding. Archangel Michael has now shifted from defender to announcer. He is making it known that the resistance period has ended. What tried to block you has lost legal ground. That is why things are suddenly changing without effort. That is why answers are coming unannounced. That is why opportunities are finding you instead of you chasing them. But hear this carefully. With great blessing comes clear instruction. The check you are opening is not just for accumulation, but for circulation. Heaven prospers channels, not containers. You are being trusted because you are willing to let blessing flow through you, not stop at you. This is where many miss it. They pray for increase, but resist responsibility. You have shown heaven that you are different. You have shown that you will steward wisely, that you will remember the source, that you will move with humility even when elevation comes quickly. Right now, there is a spiritual seal being placed on this moment. A seal that says, this release is irreversible. But seals are activated by response. That is why this message is not passive. It is calling you into agreement. If you feel a stirring in your chest, that is not emotion alone. That is recognition. Your spirit recognizes truth before your mind catches up. Trust that recognition. Do not talk yourself out of what God is talking you into. Archangel Michael is no longer blocking opposition. He is clearing the path. And once heaven clears a path, movement accelerates rapidly. Expect sudden shifts. Expect doors to open without explanation. Expect provision to come from directions you did not anticipate. This is not the end of the message. This is the confirmation that you are positioned correctly. And before we move further, there is a spiritual act that seals this phase. Type "I receive the open heavens" in the comments if this message is bearing witness with your spirit. Blessing code 941 has just been released. This message is not meant to stop with you. It is meant to reach others who are still waiting in silence, still praying in the dark, still wondering if heaven sees them. When you choose to support this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, whose link is placed in the description, you are not funding a platform. You are sowing light into places where hope is almost out. I hear the Lord say, as you release into this stream, I will release into your storehouse. This is seed meeting soil, obedience meeting open heavens, while meeting a ready vessel. I am inviting you personally to act now, because this is not charity, this is prophecy in motion. Do not hesitate, move as the Spirit prompts you, and watch how swiftly heaven responds to your obedience. Beloved soul, now that the resistance has been broken and the seal has been released, it is important for you to understand what happens next, because this is where many people misunderstand divine acceleration. When heaven moves suddenly, it is not chaotic. It is precise. What feels fast to you has been carefully measured in the Spirit. Archangel Michael is not rushing this process. He is escorting it with exact timing so nothing is misplaced and nothing is lost. What is unfolding now is a shift in positioning. Before the blessing manifests outwardly, it rearranges things inwardly. This is why you may feel unusually alert, sensitive, or discerning. Your spirit is being tuned to a higher frequency. All distractions are losing their grip. Certain conversations no longer interest you. Some environments suddenly feel heavy. This is not isolation. This is elevation. Heaven is moving you out of survival mode and into stewardship mode. Survival asks, how do I get through this? Stewardship asks, how do I manage what I am trusted with? The reason this transition feels serious is because it is. What is coming to you is not fragile, but it is sacred. And sacred things require awareness. Archangel Michael is now instructing you to guard your focus. Not because danger is ahead, but because clarity is required. When clarity arrives, confusion tries one last time to speak. You may notice sudden doubts that do not feel like your own. Random fears that have no evidence. Thoughts that question timing even though peace is present. Recognize these for what they are, echoes of a season that is ending. This is also the phase where heaven begins to disconnect you from what can no longer follow you. Some delays were not from God. They were from attachments that could not survive your next level. Heaven is not punishing you by removing them. Heaven is protecting you by releasing them. Beloved, you are not losing anything of value. You are shedding weight. And weight reduction always precedes speed. What you are stepping into requires freedom of movement. That is why this part feels quieter, more reflective, more inward. Silence here is not emptiness. It is calibration. Archangel Michael is standing watch as your discernment sharpens. You will begin to sense what to accept and what to decline without overthinking. Decisions that once took weeks will now take moments. Not because you are impulsive, but because alignment produces confidence. This is also when gratitude deepens. Not gratitude for what you see yet, but gratitude for what you trust is unfolding. Heaven responds strongly to this kind of faith. Faith that does not demand proof before praise. Faith that thanks God while the envelope is still opening. Understand this clearly. The blessing check does not arrive as a single event. It unfolds in layers. First comes peace. Then comes clarity. Then comes opportunity. Then comes prevail. If you try to skip layers, you miss the fullness. Heaven is giving you all of it, not just the part that looks impressive to others. This is why Archangel Michael remains close. Not to fight, but to ensure order. Order protects increase. Disorder leaks it. The reason heaven shocked itself with your release is because it trusts your capacity to carry it without losing your center. Right now, there is an invitation being extended to you internally. An invitation to slow your reactions and deepen your listening. The louder the world becomes, the quieter your spirit must stay. Revelation does not compete for attention. It waits for stillness. You may notice that your prayers are changing. Less asking, more aligning. Less urgency, more assurance. This is maturity forming, and heaven responds to maturity with responsibility. Beloved, nothing about this process is accidental. Every detail is intentional. Even the timing of this message reaching you was calculated. You were meant to hear this now, not earlier, not later. Now, Archangel Michael is confirming that you are exactly where you need to be. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not missing anything. You are arriving. As this part concludes, let your heart rest in this truth. What hath been written in heaven cannot be unwritten on earth. What has been authorized cannot be revoked by fear. And what has been prepared for you will not pass you by. The next movement will reveal how this blessing begins to manifest in ways you can recognize, measure, and steward wisely. And when it does, you will remember this moment and understand why everything unfolded exactly as it did. Beloved child, now we enter a phase that many overlook, yet it determines whether the blessing multiplies or merely passes through. This is the stage of recognition in the natural realm. Heaven has already confirmed the release, but earth responds differently than the spirit. Earth requires wisdom. Earth requires patience. Earth requires discernment. Archangel Michael is still near, not as a distant observer, but as a silent guide, ensuring that what manifests does not overwhelm you before you understand it. You may begin to notice subtle changes first. Not fireworks, not instant headlines, but shifts that feel strangely intentional. Conversations that lead somewhere. Opportunities that feel aligned instead of forced. Ideas that return to you with clarity instead of confusion. This is how heaven introduces increase, quietly, wisely, without pressure. Loud blessings attract attention. Wise blessings attract stability. This is also where temptation tries to disguise itself as urgency. You may feel a sudden desire to rush, to announce, to explain, to prove. But hear this clearly, not everything God gives you is meant to be immediately shared. Some blessings are incubated in silence so they can mature without interference. Archangel Michael is cautioning restraint, not because joy is forbidden, but because timing preserves power. You are learning now the difference between excitement and alignment. Excitement burns fast. Alignment sustains. What you are stepping into is meant to last. That is why heaven is slowing your steps even while accelerating your progress. This may feel paradoxical, but it is protection. Beloved, you are also being taught to recognize divine confirmation. Heaven speaks twice before it acts openly. Once in the spirit, once in the natural. Pay attention to patterns. Repeated numbers. Repeated ideas. Repeated invitations. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations layered for your assurance. This is the moment where discernment becomes your greatest asset. Not every open door is your door. Not every offer is aligned. Not every shortcut is pavilion. Archangel Michael is helping you see beyond appearance and into substance. If something costs you your peace, it is too expensive. If something demands compromise, it is not from heaven. You are being trained to steward favor without becoming dependent on applause. Favor will follow you now, but humility must walk ahead of you. Heaven resists pride, not because pride is loud, but because pride leaks gratitude. And gratitude is the key that keeps the heavens bank open. There may be moments where you wonder why everything has not arrived all at once. Understand this: sudden overflow without structure creates loss. Heaven gives in stages so you can build capacity while receiving. Each stage increases your ability to manage the next. This is how lasting abundance is formed. Archangel Michael is ensuring that your character grows alongside your capacity. You prayed for increase, but heaven answered with preparation. Preparation is love in action. It is heaven saying, I care too much about you to give you something that could harm you. You may also notice emotional healing occurring without effort. Old wounds losing their sting. Old disappointments no longer shaping your expectations. This healing is part of the blessing. You cannot steward future joy while chained to past pain. Heaven is freeing you quietly, completely. Beloved, this is also the season to listen more than you speak. Wisdom is speaking softly around you, through unexpected people, through simple moments, through gentle corrections. Do not ignore them. His whispers are as valuable as the blessing itself. Archangel Michael is reminding you that obedience now is more important than enthusiasm. Enthusiasm fades. Obedience sustains. Small obedient steps taken consistently will unlock doors you never knew existed. As you move forward, trust the pace. Trust the process. Trust the presence guiding you. Nothing is falling apart. Everything is falling into place. This phase is not about arrival. It is about alignment becoming visible. And when alignment becomes visible, manifestation is inevitable. The next unfolding will show you how heaven confirms its promises through tangible evidence, so your faith does not rest on feeling alone, but on clear, undeniable movement that no one can deny, including you. Beloved one, as the alignment becomes visible and the path ahead gains clarity, heaven now invites you into active participation. This is not a season of passive waiting. This is a season of conscious movement. Archangel Michael is no longer only guiding from the side. He is now signaling moments where your response matters immediately. When heaven releases momentum, it requires cooperation to sustain it. You may notice that situations are asking something of you now. Decisions, invitations, responsibilities. These are not burdens, they are confirmations. Heaven does not assign weight without also providing strength. What feels unfamiliar is not danger, it is growth. And growth always feels awkward before it feels natural. This is also where your voice begins to matter more than you realize. What you speak now carries authority. Words spoken in alignment create structure. Words spoken in fear create delay. Be mindful, not anxious. Heaven is listening closely because your words are beginning to agree with what has already been written. Archangel Michael is reminding you that consistency is the currency of this phase. Not dramatic faith, not emotional highs. Consistent obedience. Showing up when it feels ordinary. Choosing integrity when shortcuts appear attractive. These small choices are not small at all. They are locking in permanence. Beloved, There is something powerful about agreement in the natural realm. When others witness your alignment, it strengthens the atmosphere around you. That is why interaction matters. When you engage with this message, when you like it, share it, and speak your agreement in the comments, you are not just supporting a channel. You are declaring publicly that you are aligned with what heaven is doing in your life. Sharing this message is also an act of obedience. Someone else is waiting for confirmation that heaven has not forgotten them. Your willingness to pass this word forward may become the answer to someone else's silent prayer. This is how blessings multiply, through movement. Subscribing and staying connected is not about routine. It is about remaining under the sound of instruction. Seasons change quickly when God accelerates things. Staying connected helps you discern what belongs to now and what belongs to later. It keeps you grounded while things around you shift. Beloved, do not underestimate the spiritual power of agreement. Heaven moves where unity is present. When you comment, when you testify, when you engage, you are aligning your voice with others who are walking the same path. That collective agreement creates protection. Archangel Michael is also drawing your attention to discernment around distractions. When purpose becomes clear, distractions become louder. This is not coincidence. Anything that cannot stop you will try to slow you. Recognize it without fear. Your focus without frustration. You are not losing time. You are learning precision. This is the phase where patience proves its value. Not passive patience, but active trust. Trust that what is unfolding does not require manipulation. Trust that you do not need to force doors open. Doors assigned to you open when you arrive, not when you push. You may feel moments of excitement mixed with moments of uncertainty. This is normal when expansion is happening. Do not confuse uncertainty with lack of faith. Faith often grows in unfamiliar territory. What matters is that you keep moving forward with intention. Archangel Michael is standing as assurance that nothing released from heaven is fragile. You do not need to tiptoe around this blessing. You need to steward it confidently. Confidence does not mean arrogance. It means trust in the one who authorized it. There will be people who do not understand the changes happening in you. They may question your pace, your choices, your boundaries. Do not explain what heaven has not instructed you to explain. Let fruit speak. Fruit always silences doubt. Beloved, this is also a moment to celebrate progress, even if it feels incomplete. Gratitude for partial fulfillment keeps the flow open. Complaining about what is not yet visible restricts it. Choose gratitude intentionally. Before you move ahead, take a moment to breathe in this truth. You are not chasing this blessing. It is meeting you where obedience and preparation intersect. That is a powerful place to stand. Hold on, because what is coming next will reveal how heaven confirms its promises in ways that remove all remaining doubt and establish you with undeniable clarity. Beloved child, now we step into a phase that brings confirmation so clear that doubt begins to lose its voice. This is the stage where heaven allows evidence to appear, not to convince others, but to reassure you. Faith does not require proof, but God often provides confirmation as an act of kindness. Archangel Michael remains attentive here, ensuring that what is revealed strengthens you rather than distracts you. You may start to notice tangible shifts that cannot be explained away. Circumstances realign without pressure. People offer help without being asked. Solutions emerge where there were only questions before. These are not random improvements, they are markers. Markers that tell you the blessing is not theoretical anymore. It is moving into form. This is also where discernment becomes even more essential. Confirmation does not always arrive wrapped in excitement. Sometimes it arrives quietly, disguised as normalcy. Do not dismiss gentle progress because it does not look dramatic. Heaven often confirms its biggest moves through stability, not spectacle. Archangel Michael is guiding your attention to patterns of peace. Peace is the indicator of alignment. Anxiety is the indicator of interference. When peace remains even while things are changing, you are moving correctly. If pressure increases without peace, pause and listen. Heaven never rushes you into confusion. Beloved, this phase invites you to trust your inner witness. You no longer need external validation the way you once did. What God is building in you now is spiritual confidence, the ability to move forward without needing applause or permission. This confidence is quiet, but it is powerful. You may also notice a shift in how others respond to you. Respect replaces familiarity. Curiosity replaces dismissal. This is not because you changed who you were. It is because heaven is revealing who you have been becoming. Favor alters perception without effort. This is also where boundaries solidify naturally. You no longer feel guilty for saying no to what drains you. You no longer feel obligated to explain every decision. This is not hardness of heart. This is clarity of purpose. Clarity protects energy, and energy sustains calling. Archangel Michael is ensuring that pride does not attach itself to progress. Pride will rush ahead. Humility walks steadily. You are learning to let God highlight you instead of promoting yourself. That restraint is preserving longevity. There may be moments where you feel tempted to compare your journey to others. Resist that temptation gently. Comparison blinds you to your own progress. Heaven custom designed your path. What blesses another may not bless you in the same way or at the same pace. Trust the design. Beloved, this stage is also about rest. Not in activity, but rest in assurance. You no longer need to strive to prove that something is happening. You know it is. That knowing creates space for joy to return. Joy is not a reward for completion. It is fuel for continuation. You may find yourself laughing more easily, breathing more deeply, sleeping more peacefully. These are not side effects. They are signs of alignment. When the soul aligns, the body follows. Heaven heals holistically. Archangel Michael is still guarding the process, but now his presence feels less intense because fear is losing its hold. What once felt urgent now feels ordered. What once felt heavy now feels purposeful. This is progress. Beloved child, let gratitude remain your posture. Gratitude keeps your awareness anchored in abundance rather than lack. Each small confirmation deserves acknowledgement. Gratitude multiplies what it touches. This phase does not last forever. It transitions into expansion. But expansion requires stability first. That stability is being established now. Foundations are being strengthened so what comes next does not shake you. As this movement continues, remember this truth deeply. Heaven does not tease. It does not begin what it does not intend to finish. What has started in you will be completed with care and precision. The next unfolding will show how this blessing extends beyond you and begins to affect others connected to your life, revealing why this release was never meant to stop at you alone. Beloved one, now we enter a sacred unfolding where the blessing no longer remains contained within your life alone. What heaven releases never stops at a single destination. Blessing is designed to move, to touch, to awaken, to restore. This is the phase where you begin to realize that what you thought was personal was actually purposeful. Archangel Michael stands witness again, not in defense this time, but in confirmation of expansion. You may start to notice that people connected to you are being affected without explanation. Someone close to you experiences unexpected favor. A relationship begins to heal without effort. An atmosphere in your home feels lighter. This is not coincidence. When heaven blesses a carrier, everything connected to the carrier feels the overflow. You were never meant to hoard what was given. You were meant to host it. This is also where responsibility deepens, not as pressure but as awareness. You begin to sense that your obedience is influencing more than just your own outcomes. Your alignment is creating pathways for others. That realization can feel humbling, even heavy at moments, but it is also an honor. Heaven does not entrust impact to the careless. Archangel Michael is reminding you that expansion requires surrender. Not surrender of control, but surrender of ownership. You are learning to say, "This is not mine to manage alone." When you invite God into the distribution of the blessing, it multiplies beyond your capacity. You may also feel prompted to show up differently for others, to speak encouragement, to give generously, to listen more deeply. These impulses are not random kindness. They are alignment responses. When heaven fills you, compassion becomes natural. You are not forcing goodness. It is flowing. This stage also brings refinement. Expansion reveals areas that still need adjustment. This is not exposure for shame. It is invitation for growth. Heaven refines what it intends to use widely. Do not resist correction here. Correction protects culling. Beloved, you may feel moments of holy urgency again. Not fear-based urgency, but purpose-driven urgency. A sense that what you carry matters now. That timing is important, and delay would cost impact. This urgency is healthy. It sharpens focus. It keeps you attentive. Archangel Michael is still ensuring protection, especially as visibility increases. When influence grows, scrutiny follows. But you are not unguarded. Heaven does not expand without covering. What you are stepping into has already been secured. This is also the phase where testimony begins to form. You may not tell it yet, but you feel it building. The story is taking shape. The pieces are aligning. One day, you will look back and realize how intentional every step was. Beloved, let humility anchor you here. Humility does not mean shrinking. It means staying teachable, staying grateful, staying aware of the source. Orion cuts off flow. Humility keeps it open. As this movement continues, you may sense a call to deeper commitment, to stay connected, to remain under instruction, to not drift once things improve. This is important. Many people disconnect after breakthrough and lose guidance. Stay rooted. So now, if this word is stirring your spirit, and you recognize that this blessing is already touching more than just you, respond in agreement. Type "I am a carrier of blessing" in the comments if you receive this truth. Blessing code 1188 is now activated. What God is doing through this message is not limited to one life. It is creating a stream of light for many who are still waiting for confirmation. When you support this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, link clearly in the description, you are not giving to a channel. You are placing seed into a river that carries hope, clarity, and God's word across nations. The Lord says, as you release oil into my work, I will release increase into your hands. This is not a casual act. It is prophetic obedience. Act now, move with urgency, and may heaven remember your seed at the exact moment you need a breakthrough. Beloved child, after expansion comes establishment. This is the phase where what has been flowing begins to settle into structure. Heaven never releases increase without also creating systems to sustain it. Archangel Michael remains present, now as a stabilizer, ensuring that what has grown does not become unstable. Growth without grounding leads to collapse. But what God is building in you is meant to last. You may notice that your days feel more ordered, even when they are full. Here is a rhythm for me. Priorities are becoming clear. Things that once demanded your energy are no longer competing for attention. This is not because life has become simpler, but because you have become clearer. Clarity simplifies decisions. This stage is marked by discernment and boundaries. You begin to recognize what deserves access to your time and what does not. Not every invitation is an opportunity. Not every relationship is a requirement. Heaven is teaching you the difference between availability and assignment. Assignment always carries peace, even when it carries responsibility. Archangel Michael is also guiding you to recognize the importance of consistency over intensity. Intense moments inspire, but consistent habits sustain. What you build now will determine how much you can carry later. Small daily choices are shaping long-term outcomes more than you realize. Beloved, establishment also brings a sense of quiet confidence. You are no longer asking, "Is this real?" You are asking, "How do I steward this well?" That shift is evidence of maturity. Maturity attracts trust, both from heaven and from people. You may begin to experience favor that feels effortless. Doors open without negotiation. People advocate for you without being asked. Systems bend in your favor. This is not manipulation. This is alignment. Favor follows purpose when character can handle it. This phase also invites you to revisit vision. Not to dream again from scratch, but to refine what you already carry. Heaven often clarifies vision after provision begins, not before. And now that you can see more clearly, adjustments become possible. Do not resist refinement. Refined vision produces focused impact. Archangel Michael is reminding you that rest remains essential even as responsibility increases. Rest is not laziness. It is trust. When you rest, you declare that the outcome does not depend solely on your effort. Heaven honors that declaration. You may notice that emotional reactions are softer now. Things that once triggered you no longer hold the same power. This emotional stability is part of the blessing. Stability allows you to respond instead of react. Response carries wisdom. Action carries regret. Beloved, this is also a season where legacy begins to whisper. You may find yourself thinking beyond immediate results, beyond quick wins, beyond personal gain. Thoughts of impact, longevity, and sustainability arise naturally. This is heaven expanding your perspective. Archangel Michael is ensuring that your foundation is strong before further elevation occurs. Foundations are tested not by storms alone, but by weight. The weight of responsibility, the weight of influence, the weight of expectation. You are being strengthened quietly to carry it all. There may be moments where you feel stretched, not overwhelmed but extended. This stretching is not meant to tear you. It is meant to increase your reach. Stretching always precedes capacity. Beloved child, do not rush this phase. Establishment cannot be hurried. What is built slowly stands firmly. What is rushed often requires repair. Heaven is not in a hurry. It is intentional. As this part settles, take note of how far you have come. Not to dwell on the past, but to honor the process. Gratitude for the journey keeps you grounded as the future opens wider. What comes next will invite your voice again. It will ask for your participation in shaping the atmosphere around this blessing. And when that invitation comes, it will require both courage and clarity to respond rightly. Beloved one, Now the moment arrives where your voice is invited into cooperation with what heaven has established. This is not about speaking loudly, it is about speaking rightly. When God settles a blessing, He then invites the carrier to help shape the atmosphere around it. Words become tools in this phase. What you affirm grows. What you ignore weakens. Archangel Michael is attentive now, not to guard against attack, but to observe agreement. You may notice that people are listening to you differently. Your words carry more weight, even when you are not trying to persuade. This is because alignment creates authority. Authority does not announce itself, it is recognized. Heaven is training you to use that authority wisely. This is also the phase where testimony begins to matter. Not testimony for attention, but testimony for alignment. When you speak what God has done, you reinforce what He is doing. Silence does not always mean humility. Sometimes silence delays multiplication. There is a balance, and heaven is teaching you discernment within it. Archangel Michael is reminding you that shared light grows brighter. When you allow others to witness what God is doing, it creates permission for their faith to rise. That is why engagement matters now more than ever. When you interact with this message, when you like it, comment with agreement, and share it forward, you are not participating in noise, you are participating in testimony. This is a moment to be intentional. Share this word with someone who needs reassurance. Comment not out of habit, but out of faith. Speak what you are expecting, not what you are fearing. Heaven honors spoken alignment. Subscribing and staying connected in this season is also important. When movement accelerates, instruction becomes critical. Staying connected keeps your discernment sharp. It helps you recognize what belongs to now and what belongs to later. Many people receive blessings but lose direction because they disconnect too early. Remain anchored. Beloved, there is also a retention of focus required here. Distraction is subtle at this stage. It does not come as chaos, it comes as comfort. When things improve, vigilance can fade. Archangel Michael is cautioning you to remain attentive, not anxious. Attentive hearts notice shifts early and adjust gracefully. This is the phase where you learn to protect momentum. Momentum is fragile if ignored. It strengthens when honored. Simple disciplines, consistent gratitude, intentional rest. These are the things that keep momentum alive. You may feel a renewed sense of responsibility toward your inner life. What you consume, what you dwell on, what you allow to influence you. This awareness is healthy. Influence matters more now because your output affects more people than before. Beloved, this is also where joy becomes a choice. Not because joy is absent, but because seriousness can creep in when responsibility increases. Joy reminds you why the blessing was given in the first place. Joy keeps the heart soft. Archangel Michael is also ensuring that comparison does not steal your clarity. Others may appear to move faster or slower. That is irrelevant. Your pace is calibrated to your assignment. Trust it. As this phase unfolds, you may feel moments where you wonder what comes next. Do not rush to answer that question. Stay present. Heaven reveals next steps to those who are faithful with current ones. Before we move further, pause internally and recognize this truth. You did not imagine this journey. You did not manufacture this alignment. You responded to invitation. And response is what keeps heaven engaging. Hold on, because what is coming next brings a deeper layer of understanding about why this blessing was timed exactly as it was, and why missing this moment was never an option for you. Beloved child, now that your voice has aligned with heaven and your steps are steady, understanding begins to deepen. This is the phase where wisdom settles in. not as information, but as revelation. Things you once questioned now make sense without explanation. The timing, the delays, the closed doors, even the disappointments, all of them begin to arrange themselves into a pattern you can finally recognize. Archangel Michael is present again, not to announce, not to guard, but to affirm that nothing in your journey was wasted. This is where discernment matures into insight. Discernment tells you what to avoid. Insight tells you why it mattered. And heaven is generous with insight once trust hath been established. You are no longer merely reacting to life. You are interpreting it through divine perspective. That shift changes everything. You may find yourself reflecting on moments when you almost gave up. Times when the pressure felt unjustified. Seasons when you questioned whether obedience was worth the cost. And now, with clarity increasing, you begin to see that those moments were thresholds. Had you turned back then, you would have missed what you are standing in now. This realization does not bring regret, it brings gratitude. Archangel Michael is confirming that timing was your protection. What you wanted earlier would have overwhelmed you then. What you can now carry would have crushed a former version of you. Heaven waited until your inner structure could support external blessing. That is not delay. That is mercy. This is also where humility deepens, not as self-doubt, but as awe. Awe at how precisely God orchestrates lives. Awe at how intentional every step truly was. Pride cannot survive in this space. Gratitude thrives here. Beloved, this phase invites you to slow your interpretation, not your movement. Move forward, yes, but interpret gently. Not every challenge is opposition. Not every inconvenience is a setback. Some are recalibrations designed to keep you aligned as responsibility increases. You may notice that your prayer life feels different now. Less urgency, more conversation. Less bleeding, more listening. This is intimacy growing. When intimacy grows, instruction becomes clearer. You are no longer asking God to bless your steps. You are asking Him which steps to take. Archangel Michael is attentive to your obedience at this level. Obedience now is subtle. It is choosing rest when you could push. It is choosing silence when you could defend yourself. It is choosing patience when speed is available. These choices preserve your authority. This is also a season where forgiveness finishes its work. Old offenses lose their emotional charge. Old names no longer trigger reactions. This is not forgetfulness. This is freedom. You cannot carry future responsibility while dragging unresolved weight from the past. Heaven is lightening you deliberately. Beloved, you are also becoming more aware of spiritual responsibility. Not in fear, but in stewardship. You understand now that what you carry affects atmospheres. Your presence shifts rooms. Your words influence outcomes. This awareness does not inflate ego, it sharpens accountability. Archangel Michael is ensuring that this awareness does not become heaviness. Responsibility in God is never meant to burden. It is meant to anchor. When you feel anchored, you are harder to shake. Stability becomes your signature. There may be moments of quiet where nothing seems to be happening externally. Do not misinterpret these pauses. They are integration periods. Heaven integrates what it releases. Without integration, increase becomes chaotic. With integration, it becomes sustainable. Beloved child, this is where trust becomes reflexive. You no longer analyze every step. You sense, you listen, you move. Faith becomes natural, not forced. That is maturity. As this phase nears completion, Something important is happening beneath the surface. Heaven is preparing you for a final confirmation. Not just that the blessing was real, but that your response mattered, that your obedience changed outcomes, that your yes shifted timelines. You are approaching a moment of sealing, a moment where heaven marks what has been completed and releases what comes next. The seal does not come with noise. It comes with authority. Remain attentive. Remain humble. Remain grateful. Because what unfolds next brings completion, not an ending, but a commissioning into what this blessing was always meant to accomplish. My beloved child, we have arrived at a sacred completion point, not an ending but a sealing. What heaven begins, it always completes with intention. This is the moment where everything you have heard, felt, endured, and obeyed is gathered into one divine confirmation. Archangel Michael now stands in a posture of commissioning, not to announce what is coming, but to affirm what has already been secured. The blessing was written. The resistance was cleared. The alignment was established. The expansion unfolded. And now, heaven places a mark of confirmation over your life. This mark is not visible to the natural eye, but it is recognized in the spiritual realm. It says this one can be trusted. That is why the Heavens Bank did not hesitate. That is why the check was written in your name. You may feel a deep sense of calm right now. Not excitement alone, but peace. Peace that does not need explanation. Peace that does not depend on circumstances. This peace is the final witness. When God finishes a work, He releases peace as proof. Striving ends here. Anxiety loses its voice here. This is rest with authority. Archangel Michael is confirming that what has been released will not be reversed. Seasons may change, but this foundation remains. What you carry now is not fragile. It hath been tested, refined, and sealed. The enemy cannot undo what heaven has completed. Fear cannot cancel what obedience has activated. Beloved, this is also where purpose sharpens. You now understand that the blessing was never only about provision. It was about positioning you as a carrier of hope, a witness of faithfulness, a living testimony that heaven still intervenes in human lives. You will move forward differently now, not louder but clear, not rushed but confident, not dependent but deeply connected. People will sense something stable in you, something grounded. That stability will speak louder than any announcement ever could. This is the moment where heaven releases you from the need for constant confirmation. You have received enough. You know, and that knowing will guide you well. When questions arise, return to what was sealed here. When uncertainty tries to creep in, remember what was written and authorized. Archangel Michael is stepping back now, not because you are unguarded, but because the assignment has been completed. The escort has delivered the blessing safely. From here, stewardship begins, and you are ready. Before this message closes, there is a final act of agreement that seals everything you have received. Type "I walk in sealed blessing" in the comments if you receive this completion. Blessing code 2024 is now activated. What God has done through this word is not meant to stop here. There are countless souls still waiting for reassurance, still praying for confirmation, still wondering if heaven sees them. When you release support through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, clearly linked in the description, you are not giving money, you are releasing oil into God's work. I hear the Lord say, whoever sows into this voice will never lack direction. This is seed meeting assignment, obedience meeting open heavens, generosity meeting divine remembrance. Do not delay. Act now. Support this mission with authority, and may the same heaven that wrote your blessing respond swiftly to your obedience.